Good morning, friends. We are slightly late today. Uh, I see someone waiting for me. Uh, so sorry for slight delay in running this session today because of some problems. Uh, because we have taken understanding about the repertory, the basic thing of the repertory. Uh, I'm going to discuss on these aspects only. In our last lectures, we had talked on the uh, translating the patient's language, translation about the translations. Today, we are going to have a comparative understanding about the patient's language and the repertory language. They are the two differences between the two or the relationship between the two languages that we have to understand, we have to keep in mind. So with this, I am sharing my PPT so that we can have a starting of this session. So friends, the topic is patient's language versus repertory language. Uh, when we talk about the language, the first thought comes to us. The language that we are able to express. It is about expressing ourselves. And the best way to express ourselves is our mother tongue, where we are very much confident, and usually we have a better expressions when we talk in our own mother tongue. Suppose you are belongs to a Hindi group of the family, and you try to speak some English word, some you become uncomfortable about that. And many of the emotional and many of the matters that remain, that is inside your mind remain hidden and could not be transferred to the to others. So communications problem starts when there are the differences of the language. And every language has a vision of the life. When we talk in our own mother tongue, we have the our vision expresses our way of the life, the what we are, our culture, our society, and these aspects are very much important for understanding this. So different language, and when you are living in a society and society, the people used to have the different language, people used to have the different culture, and we have to the social structure. Communications becomes difficult until you understand each other. So uh, diminishing or reducing the gap between the language, the two language, we have to learn today how we can reduce the gap, how we can minimize the gap between the two languages. For our homeopathic practice, uh, for our homeopathic practice, it seems to be mathematical and at the same time poetic. It is like a poetry, creating a poetry. When we talk about the repertory, we have the thoughts that we are calculating it, analytical calculations is there. In this way, it is mathematical. But when we are thinking about drawing a totality of from the repertory, it becomes poetic. It becomes you have to unify all those things. So this is very important things that we have to keep in mind. The homeopathic practice is both mathematical as well as the poetry. So you have to create a song and you have to create a mathematics. It is a relationship between the mathematics and the music. What you see, what you think about the music, music is simply unification of all the different tunes together so that they can produce a very uh, melodious tone is there. So how the melodious tone is created only by combining in a equal proportion the different instruments which is being played together, and that makes the poetic and that makes the music. And for that you are using the instrument, and that instrument belongs to the mathematical zone. And so this is definitely it is a good relationship that we have to keep in mind You have to create a poetry. You have to use the mathematical tools. So creating a poetry and mathematical tools are very important for our life. And communicating across the language barrier is challenges for clinicians and the healthcare. Okay, it's a great challenge because patients are coming from the different community, different society, different culture, the lot of the various, and they are trying to express their own way. Individual patients have their own way. They have come to you to seek the advice. They will argue you. They will request you. They will lament before you. They will beg before you. They will cry before you. And all the matters of pleading, arguing, lamenting, begging, crying are it expresses the individuality. So before the patient is speak or while the patient is speaking, we have to look for how the patient is presenting his problem, the which way. Even if you don't understand the language, the way of presentations become very important. And so it's called the when you are observing it silently, you are getting into the theme of the other language in which the patient is communicating for you. And what we talk about the patient's language, it is unorganized. It is not organized. They are not trained like you as a physician. You are physicians and you have been trained to take the case history. You have a format for the case taking. Patients are not meant for that. So patients speak in their own peculiar tone. They have their, and every patients are talking in their own peculiar tone. And both words and language are their specific way of the presentation. The word they are using is very important, and the language they are important is also very important. Because every word has their own meaning, irrespective of the meaning that is presented, universal meaning in the dictionary. What we mean for the word is important, and we have to go into the word of the individual patient, what he means by that word. And for this, suppose a patient, I was talking to a patient who is Gujarati, and I asked him what he likes most. He said, sir, I like sweets very much. Then I asked what type of the sweets. He said, sir, it is samosa. I said, samosa are not sweet, samosa are salty. Then he said, no, sir, we call it salt things to be the sweet. So now see the differences in the meaning. The salt that we mean to be salty, it is meant like a sweet for the other person. So it is very important to understand the word what the patient is using there. They have their own meaning for the words used by them. And it is a bridging the language barrier is necessary. Now, what is the to arrive at the right rubrics to avoid clinical errors and to provide patient-centered care and comply with the legal regulatory mandate? It is very important that we should reduce the or we should create a bridge between the language of the patient and the language of that you are using in the report. Now, the repertorial language are something which is very universal in nature, something which is very unique. It incorporates many different languages of the individual present, and we have to put everything in one at one place. So, repertorial language is a wider language where you can incorporate the individual language of the patients. And patient's language, when you interpret it in a professional way, it becomes rubrics. And whole sentences during the narrations leads to the single meaning. So the one sentence you are reducing to one word, and that word is the rubric. And sometimes they take longer explanations in many sentences, but at the end we conclude with one theme. Patient will be explaining to you in details. He will take 4 minutes, 5 minutes to complete his story. But out of the 4 minutes or 5 minutes, you get only one or two words from them. So it is a long hearing and patience hearing that will help you to arrive at the rubric where you listen to the patient very silently, with a patience and with a great observation. and all these together will give you the meaning for the rubrics. The patient must confirm our language. Now, suppose you assume that what the patient is telling is right. I think we may be mistaken. And even if we say the patient is wrong, we may be mistaken. He is not right, he is neither correct. He is neither wrong nor neither he is correct. He is only the interpretation is wrong or interpretation is correct. So then in a different way, in a different scenario, you can arrive at a conclusion what is the language of me. So confirmation comes from asking the patient in different way, from different angle, at the different places, with the mental symptoms, physical symptoms, and the particular symptoms, whatever way, but everything. So it is not that sometimes a patient symptoms of physical symptoms get completed with the mental symptoms. Along with the mental symptoms, you will get the meaning for the physical symptoms, and this is also true with the vice versa. And life story helps us to understand. So the homeopathy Dr. Henneman has very much talked about taking the history in details. That means that we must listen to the patient's history, life, and when you listen to the patient's life, you can get the exact meaning of the patient. So after listening to the whole case history during case taking process, we know the life which helps us to perceive the patient as a whole. Patient history provides understanding for general symptoms, causation factor, and differentiation of general and the particular and characteristics particular. So what we have to find it out? We have to find out the general symptoms. We have to find out the causative factors. We have to find out the general differences between the general and particular symptoms and the characteristics particular. These requirements you can get the complete meaning when you have the understanding about the whole history of the patient, the story of the patient. So translating the patient language into the rubric, we have to convert the patient symptoms into the language of the repertory. Know the patient and know the repertory. I say know the patient and then you will know the repertory. So when the patient talks, patient speaks, you have to you get the meaning of the report. So this is the relationship, the great relationship. Until you know the patient, if you only see the problem, you will not be able to use the report. If you are able to see the patient as a whole, you will be able to use the repertory as a whole. So the repertory is not a place where you are going to find out the solution for the problem. You are going to find out a solution for the patients. Patient solution is the repertory meant for the solving the patient's problem, not patient, not the problem, not the sickness, not the disease. It is only solving the and knowing the patient will help you. So this is a great relationship between the patient and the repertory. We must know for which repertory we are making the translation. Now we have the different set of the repertory, right from the body essence repertory to the thesis repertory. So, and every repertory has got their own theme, own understanding, and they have their own utility. So, repertory we have to select which way we have to go. We have to start from the mental problem. We have to start from the physical problem. We have to start from the positive factors. We have to start from the particular factors. All these things have great meaning for us. So you must know you must be acquainted with the different types of the repertory that is available with us. And besides that, there is a strategic repertory. I say strategic repertory. The strategic repertory means the repertory that seems to be useful for you for a particular patient. It is not that you keep in mind that I am going to repertorize the Kantian way, or Confucius way, or Bogus way. It is only that the patient's way, the patient's requirement, and that not. So you have to well versed with the different type of the repertory that is available and the theme that is there within each of the repertory. So it is not I'm not going to tell you to become a master of the Bonifications, master of the Kent, master of all the reports. You have to become the master of all the repertory that is available. So be acquainted with all the different repertory and their thematic understandings also. Knowing the repertory background, we have to know the background of the repertory. To select the right rubric, we should fully understand the repertory background. If we use Kent repertory, then we should know the background and the philosophy. Likewise, synthesis repertory, we have to know the background philosophy involved in, um, in this repertory. So, using the different repertory, we have to know the background of the repertory. Now, to understand the philosophy of the repertory, you must what you have, how you can understand the philosophy of the repertory. Before going into the main chapter of the philosophy of the repertory, try to read the preface and introductions first. This is my suggestions to you. To try to read the preface and introductions of each repertory. This is going to give you a very basic background, what is there and how these symptoms has been added or included in that repertory. Dr. Frederick Schwanz has informative introductions to the synthesis, the complete blueprint for the synthesis repertory. So there are the blueprint for each repertory, and since Frederick Schwanz has given you the blueprint for the blueprint for the synthesis repertory. Likewise, Kent has also given in the preface and introduction given the blueprint of that and what qualifications are. So before going into the repertory, you have to read the introductions, blueprint, and the preface of that repertory. This will help you to become acquainted with them. And rubrics are the placed under appropriate chapters. And then we have to be aware in which chapter, what particular type of the rubrics are there. And some places rubrics appear seems to be means for the particular chapter also appear in different chapter also. So getting the differentiating the particular rubrics, general rubrics and the mental rubrics, you will see that there are mental rubrics in the particular chapters. In the head chapter, you carry the kids chapter, in the stool chapter, in the urine chapter, whatever chapter is there, you will find the mental rubric. And similarly, in the mental chapter, mind chapter also, you will find the physical rubrics. So this relationship is very important. So go try to study the repertory, and whenever you see the cross reference, I appeal to you to go to the cross reference and discuss and see those. You will find a great meaning for each rubric and a better understanding for each rubric. Friends, unexpected placement. The repertory are not so much clean. Repertory are not so much clean, not so much well arranged. Be in mind because there are some unexpected placement. What it should be there if you have to be like uncleanliness seems to be in mind, but it is based in the generality. Chain stroke breathing seems to be a respiration chapter, but it is in the gentry. So likewise, so many rubrics are there which has to be placed at which place, but it has been placed at different places. So when you are well acquainted with the problem, only when you are well understood about the problem, you can get into the details meaning of the placement, understanding of the. So many mental rubrics lie scattered in the different chapters. Like I see in the kids chapter, you will get the grinding teeth during the maniacal rage. What is maniacal rage? It is a great anger. Head pain, anger during chest, anxiety, chest in, and facial expressions. What is the facial? It is in the face chapter. But these expressions are the exhibition of the face, exhibition of the mind. So, friends, it is very important that you have to be well acquainted with the planning and wider plan of the report. And cross references are most important guide for arriving at the right truth. Cross reference serves the purpose of differentiation of similar looking meaning. We have to we have the options to arrive at right rubric. Also, medicines at right rubric helps us guiding to the cross. Suppose you get into the mind that this patient needs this particular medicine. That medicine will also help you to to consult the other rubrics. So cross rubrics I got cross references as the cross references comes from the rubrics to rubric and also from medicines to the rubric. You can cross refer it. So this is the very beautiful way, a strategic way to have a better understanding the right conclusion of the repertory. And alternative chapter. Always try to find out the alternative. Uh, Suppose we cannot find insight into the present feeling in the chapter of mind, we may more truthfully look at under the delusion or the dream. And through intelligent applications of these principles, the practitioner will find a path from the expression of their patient to the language of the repertory. Choosing that path will lead to one steadily to the proper remedy. So the purpose is to getting the proper remedy, proper rubric, and understanding the basic understanding of the patient's needs. So reality versus delusion. Now this is very important because most of most of the things which seems to be real are not real, and most of the things which seems to be unreal are also real. So these aspects are very important. Whole of the repertory is divided between the two reality and the unreality, the delusional rubrics and many a time we believe in the delusion and we apply to make a mistake, or many a time we believe in the fact and we make a mistake. So mind is observed in both conscious, subconscious, and unconscious brain. Needs using the mental symptoms by considering for conscious symptoms and the delusional symptoms. And we as a physicians also suffer from the delusional. We have keep our prejudiced view. We keep certain rubrics into the mind and we try to fit into the patient's life. And this is the greatest mistake that you are going to do. Right? And combination sometimes one rubrics will not complete the gives you the complete meaning. So two or three rubrics will, or more than that, rubrics will make the complete meaning. Patient language often brings meaning which is observed in two or more rubrics. So we see that finding cross references plays a large role in selecting the correct remedy. And combining related rubrics is also very important because we want to consider all the possible remedies in our. It is not that how much rubrics we are collecting. It is not that how much rubric and how minimum, what should be the minimum and what should be the maximum. It is not the question. The question is that how much it is available for the patient and how much you can utilize. Never think about I am taking the 9 rupees, 8 rupees, 4 rupees. No, this should not be in your mind. It's as much as possible for the patient is the theme that you have to keep. So value of the dictionary. Now, instead of consulting the other things, it is better to understand the having proper dictionary. It is useful to consult a dictionary for getting the appropriate meaning because dictionary provides alternative meaning also. In each dictionary, you will find the alternative meaning. We can keep Webster dictionary and also the medical dictionary and also the language translation dictionary like Hindi English dictionary or English Hindi dictionary. So all these dictionaries should be the part of your training. So you must have the general rubrics, you must have the dictionary, medical rubric dictionary, general dictionary, medical dictionary, and the language translation dictionary. These things are very important for understanding. These are the tools that will help you to arrive at the right meaning of the rubrics and the script. So, persistence, perfection, and patience. Power, priority, your passion, and keeps you uh, your faith. So with this, if you have the continuity, persistence, you have the perfection, you have the patience, you get the power and you get the priority for your passions. What you want, you can get it. So it is not that achievement comes only from your persistency, from your perfection, from your patience, and your priority passions. With these things, I conclude this session today. I hope we must have got some meaning for the for having the theme into the sessions. This listening to the patient, the importance for the listening to the patient, and also to have translating them into the rubrics language. So with this, I thank you very much, and I conclude this PPT sessions today. So we have just completed the session now, and I hope we might have some insight into this subject. If you have any questions, you can ask me on my email ID or on my WhatsApp number, and you'll get the reply. Or even at the YouTube, you can get the you can put your questions there, and you can get the reply, whatever it is. So all questions are better replied in our. So with this, I conclude this session and say goodbye to you all and blessings to you all. Thank you very much.